In this screencast, we're going to be looking at something called codominance. And we're also going to be looking at multiple alleles. All right, codominance. So this is a situation when you can have two alleles be codominant, meaning one is not dominant to the other. They are both expressed if the individual is heterozygous. There's, example of the checkered chicken. You see the little chickens with black and white feathers. Well, both the black allele is expressed and the white allele is expressed, giving the chicken a checkered appearance. So they're codominant to each other. One does not hide the other in the complete dominance, like it does in complete dominance. Okay, so phenotypes of both alleles are exhibited in the heterozygote, and they will both affect the phenotype in separate and very distinguishable ways. And the example that you need to know is blood types. So for us, we're going to do the blood types as an example of both codominance and multiple alleles. So in blood types, we've heard of the A, B, and O blood types. Both A and B are codominant to each other, but they're both dominant to O, okay? And so because there's three alleles, we call this multiple alleles. It's not just two alleles like we've done before. And the codominance part of it is that they're the A and B are codominant. If you're heterozygous for AB, you express both the A and the B proteins on the red blood cells, and those are both dominant to O. All right, let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail. All right, so we've got the A and B alleles, right, are codominant to each other, and both are dominant to O. What that ends up looking like in your red blood cells, right, your phenotype in the end is if you're either type A, B, or O. So if you have both A and B alleles, you produce both of the antigens on your red blood cells, okay? So you produce these proteins, these glycoproteins on the surface of your red blood cells. They help your body recognize that it's you, so your immune system doesn't respond to them, doesn't create antigens for yours, or antibodies for your antigens. So if you have both the A and the B, you're going to produce both of them. If you have A, you're only going to produce the A antigen. If you have B, you'll only produce the B antigen. If you're type O, you'll produce neither of those two antigens. So your type O is actually only one nucleotide difference from the A, but it results in not creating that A glycoprotein for the surface of the red blood cell. And we've talked about this before when we were doing inheritance. We know that it's important to know blood types because if you need blood, if blood's to be donated, if you have type AB blood, your body recognizes both the A and the B antigen. Therefore, you will not elicit immune response. You will not create antibodies against the A or the B because your body recognizes that. If you have type A blood, you can get pretty much any type of blood except for B blood or AB blood. So if it's any A blood, as long as it has A, and if it has O. But if you get B blood donated to you, if that's put into you through a transfusion, your body will create the antibodies against the B and then fight it off. So it will cause an immune response. If you have type B, it's the same. You can only get type B blood or type O blood, except if you were given A or AB blood because you wouldn't recognize the A antigen, your body would elicit an immune response against the blood that was infused. Type O blood, you don't recognize any of them. You can only get type O blood because any of these would elicit an immune response because your body would create antibodies against these antigens. So AB is considered the universal recipient. It can take all the blood types. Type O can only take type O, but it's the universal donor because it can be given to all of these because you can give O to any one of these blood types and it won't elicit that immune response. All right, so let's look at the genotypes and phenotypes. And so it's a little bit more complicated because it's multiple alleles. So it's not just homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive. So if you have type A blood, you can either be homozygous, so you have both of the A alleles. And notice the alleles that we use to represent this, especially because of the codominance. We use the letter I and a little superscript for the A or the B, and then the O is represented with a lowercase allele. So this is the genotype if you're homozygous for type A, and then the phenotype would be type A. If you're heterozygous for type A, you have one A allele and one O allele. Again, you would be type A because A is dominant to O. You can be homozygous type B, so you've got two of the B alleles, You can be heterozygous for type B. So you've got one B and one O, but B is dominant to O, so you would still be type B. Or you can be heterozygous AB, so you have the A and B. These are co-dominant to each other, so you have both type A and B blood. You express both of those proteins on the surface of your cell. And then if you're homozygous recessive, 2 recessive genes, then you're type O, okay? So there's 2 ways to be type A, there's 2 ways to be type B, and then there's only 1 way to be AB and 1 way to be O. All right, so let's look at what those problems might be. So here's a problem. We've got a man heterozygous for type A and a woman's homozygous for type B. What's the probability the child will have type B blood? So first, here's our list, right, of all the different genotypes and phenotypes. And then if we were to do the Punnett square, here's the alleles of the man, and he's heterozygous, so 1 A allele, 1 O allele. And then the woman's homozygous, so 2 B alleles, and then you can fill in the square, okay? And they want to know what's the probability that the child will have type B blood. So this one and this one have AB, so that doesn't count. And these two both have type B blood. They're both heterozygous for type B. So the answer then would be 2 out of 4 or 1/2, or you could say 50%. So 50% of their offspring could have type B blood. You're going to do a couple more example problems to see how it goes for you.